Friday afternoon motorsports becoming a regular feature and habit for us on platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club in 2026, and week 5 is no exception as we welcome you to a double serving of what would normally be Thursday night motorsport across Facebook and YouTube, and sprint racing from the Portland International Raceway in Oregon on the west coast of the United States for round 5 at Disruptive Labs GT4, before we of course turn our attention to round 5 of the Porsche Elite Cup, with thanks to the GSRC platforms from the Sebring International Raceway in Florida, which has been somewhat of a hub for the GSRC teams, drivers and championships this week, in the same way that Miami, also in Florida, and the International Autodrome there will be a hub of our week 6 entertainment offering. Good afternoon, everybody. Zach Cabin alongside Adam Lavis. Good to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world. It is 7 minutes past 1 on the East Coast, 7 minutes past 10 on the West Coast, 7 minutes past 3 in New Zealand, and we are here with you for the next couple of hours to relive what was another fascinating dose of Thursday night motorsport here, of course, an as-live commentary, but a full replay of these two races for you. And unfortunately, as we have a look at the circuit here, it's a great little circuit, 3.13 kilometres here in Portland, Oregon. Best, of course, associated with the IndyCar Grand Prix that runs there every August. 19 degrees, the ambient and track temperature at the moment in the United States, and overcast conditions, but 15 kilometre an hour winds. We'll have a look at the track and server weather settings once the session rolls over into the race session in just a few moments' time. In the meantime, championship points, Paul Wood. Actually, no, that can't be right. Last week, yeah, I was going to say I've got this week's up for some reason. I need to go back to the copy. I'll have a look at that later. Paul Wood sitting third at the moment, only 6 points off Adam Lavis, so it's a nice little tussle for the minor placings. And Jordan Malcolm on 210, but I get the feeling that we're not going to see Jordan Malcolm this week due to real-world commitments in the Harbour City. Bondi's sitting there, 4th place, 165. Shane Beaumont, 130, and Ryan Jones, 128. Stephen Lawrence, 118, Matt Bailey, 104, Justin Kahir, 92 points, and Dale Sharp, 89. And a depleted field, Adam Lavis, obviously two of our boys off cutting their trade in the real world, and good luck to them. But, again, as we proved with the Legend cars on Wednesday night, and you were, of course, firmly in the thick of all of that, you don't necessarily need a big field to deliver a good show.
No, as long as the ones you do have on track provide some interesting battles or races or drama, then stuff can happen. So, be interested to see how this one turns out.
So, the points table at the moment tells you that Jordan Malcolm's on top. The fact that he's not here tonight presents a nice opportunity for the likes of Bond, Lavis, and Wood to step up to the plate. Stephen Lawrence will lead us to green. And we've got, what have we got? 4 different manufacturers out there today, ladies and gentlemen. So no McLaren and no Aston Martin, but we do have 2 Porsches, 2 Bimmers, 3 Fords and 3 Mercs. Stephen Lawrence, Paul Wood, the front row. Craig Bond, Adam Lavis, the second row. Dale Sharp, Eduardo Zamora, the third row. Mark Register and Justin Kahir, the 4th row. Register, interesting. Okay. And Brett Bradbury, I don't think I've ever seen a surname Register before. Except for the aforementioned Cash. Brett Bradbury and Shane Beaumont, the top 5 rows on this grid. The only 5 rows on this grid, which means a full invert for the second race. Can we just bring up the weather settings just back on the right-hand side there, please, once more, Adam? Just to remind everybody at home, we've got a half a minute here before these guys take off under safety car. 29 past 10 local server time. And the track is now showing the ambient is now showing 19 degrees. The track 22, 73% humidity at 16 kilometre an hour winds. I can't tell you much more than that at this point in time. Moving off behind the safety car now, Stephen Lawrence will lead this field to green. Bondi's missed the start. Bondi is starting from pit lane. Now, is that strategic, knowing full well that if he finishes 10th, he'll start on pole for the invert? I'm not sure. But there he is, sitting helpless on pit road. I'm not sure why. We'll try and get to the bottom of that as the afternoon rolls on. That's a strange call in a field this small on a circuit where overtaking is not straightforward an equation either. But it's great to be back in Oregon, ready on one of The new circuits that arrived on the server last year on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for GT4 with thanks to Disruptive Labs. A Friday afternoon replay is underway for you across Facebook and YouTube. Let's go at Portland. Lawrence, a great start. Wood goes with him. Sharpie down the inside of everybody trying to go to second. And we'll look to do that on Paul Wood, but no, Woodsy is going to go back around the outside. Sharpie's blinky billing all over the place. Adam Lavis will have to be wary of all of that. Look at that nice photo op for the Aussie racers once we can get some stable internet connection at Dale's End. My goodness, he's second now, and Stephen Lawrence has bolted up the road. Already 1.5 seconds to the good. Clean start. Bondi comes out 5.5 seconds in arrears of the leader and 1.1 off the tail of Shane Beaumont. Good luck to him trying to make some ground up here. Great for open wheelers. It'll be interesting to see how it suits the tin tops tonight, Adam.
Indeed, yeah, it's a good little circuit. It can be a little bit tricky to race, especially when you can't tell where the car in front of you is, as Woodsy was finding last night. So, and it's very interesting. So, like, basically, it gets to a point here, I think down the end of this lap, we'll get there. I think Dale just says, I'll just go because I'm obviously in trouble. And as soon as Woodsy passes him, he's in there comes good. So now I'm stuck behind him.
Yep, exactly. So watch this as it plays out. There we go. It's still not looking all that crash hot, but down the main straight we go. The three Aussie racer boys side by side. Line astern, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 on the racetrack. And Stephen Lawrence is gone. To the cleaners, 2.5 seconds to the good on the opening lap. Everybody else in close tow. Oh, okay. Well, so hang on. So what car is telling us there is that the H and I, which makes you question why they're in there in the first place, are silent. I don't think I've ever encountered that before in my life. Certainly one letter being silent, but not two on the trot. There you go. But we appreciate the clarification, because that is the only way we know what we're on about and whether we're on the right trajectory or not. Let's have a look at this. Stephen Lawrence, Paul Wood, Dale Sharp, Adam Lavis, and Eduardo Zamora for the top 5. Irish, there we go.
That makes a lot of sense. Like there's some names in
now.
There's names that are pronounced way different to their spelling in Irish language, so and it's probably runs a little wide there.
Yep. And that's before you start pouring the Guinness and Kilkenny, to be honest. Looking forward to St Patrick's Day next month. The luck of the Irish. Well, if that's the case, it's interesting, isn't it, that we've got some... Because when we look at Justin's flag, he's got the Aussie flag next to his name, right? So it's interesting that there's that Irish link there as well. We've been talking ad nauseum for many, many years now, Adam, about the stretch, the reach of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Well, we've got a United Kingdom somewhat little tie in there, which is nice, albeit not visually, but obviously with that clarification from Justin there, that's really good to know that we've got that link to the motherland. Or is that fatherland now that it's a king, not a queen? I'm not sure. Stephen Lawrence, Paul Wood, Dale Sharp, Adam Lavis, and Eduardo Zamora, the top 5. Zamora, of course, in the LS Racing entry, one of 2 BMWs in this field. There's Justin. It was an absolute debacle for these blokes last week. Let's hope they can keep it straight this week. Not running with one another. 2 Mercs round out the field. Bondi's made his way past them and Brett Bradbury as well. Bondi back up into 7th. Still a net loss of 4 positions for him to this point. So I'm just thinking now, we've got South America covered. We've got North America covered. We've got Europe and Asia covered. We just haven't broken into the Africans yet, as far as the reach of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club is concerned. So Asia, Europe, most definitely. North and South America, absolutely. Australasia, of course. Oh, trouble. Brett Bradbury drops to last in the train. But that'll be the invert pole for him if he can get some sort of stability aboard that Mustang. At the moment, it resembles something that wouldn't look out of place on either a drift pad or a burnout pan. Back to the main straight we go. Slipping and sliding all over the place. Grip issues for B. Bradbury. Down the main straight we go. Heading for 13 laps in this race too, ladies and gentlemen. So, still a long way to go. 9 laps, in fact. 16 minutes to length for Heat 1, 27 for Heat 2. And, of course, we go Porsche racing from Sebring. Good to have your company wherever you're tuning in on this Friday afternoon. This is probably going to be one of the quieter GT4 outings I think we've ever seen. Real-world commitments start creeping in this time of year. We're very well aware of that. No Jones, no Malcolm on the grid as a result. But for the most part, the regular contenders, the regular protagonists are still in the house. It'll be interesting to see what sort of impact the events going on in Sydney this weekend do have on the grid for the Porsches as well. It's a juggling act at this time of the year, but it's one we have managed now for the better part of 5 years. This is the 5th year in which we've been back to some form of normality in life, and yet we still manage to have people dedicating enough time to be able to turn up week in, week out without real world commitments creeping in terribly much. Craig Bond on board with him now, 7th, chasing Mark Register. We're just going to call Mark Cash from now on, I think. That's going to be his nickname. That's the first thing. As soon as I saw Register, that was the first thing I thought of. The old checkout. The counter.
It's more when he fills it out form where it says register your surname.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, yes.
Yeah. Correct.
But he's doing well to notice. He obviously, I think tonight's his debut race in the club, so although the depleted field, still keeping it up with the front pack, so obviously some good inspiration for what could become in the future races for him, so it'd be good to see how he goes in the upcoming races. But yeah, at the moment he's got his hands full with a hard-charging Bondi after missing the start.
I was going to say, I thought it was a new name on the totem pole there, and that's been another. As we watch Bondi make the move, actually on the inside of the run down to turn 1, that's really nicely done from C Bond. Up on the inside, deep under brakes to turn 1, and Bondi is 6th once more. Still trying to reel in the deficit. He's 1.6 seconds off Eduardo Zamora, but then Adam Lavis and Dale Sharp in pretty close tow after that. I was going to say, that's been the one pleasing thing for me, Adam, and I'm sure for club executive as well, our committee, is the overturn. A lot of new names popping up over the course of the first 5 weeks, which is good for the flow on, good for the subscription rates, good for the membership, good for the, server turnouts and all those different factors. And it just means that the sim world, the wheels keep turning. We might have competitors going, but we've still got them coming.
Indeed, as he pops into the chat too to defend himself. So, but yeah, it's
the other benefit of a delayed broadcast.
Yeah, it is very interesting. We've got a lot of new names, but still obviously plenty of regulars. But yeah, we're definitely getting some new names in the club. So it's always good to keep it fresh and see how everyone interacts with each other.
Adam Lavis riding on board with him now. He's also sitting with me here in the central commentary position. Speaking of central commentary position, don't forget tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Australia take on cricket heavyweight Oman in their last match of the ICC Men's World T20. Knowing how we've fared so far, you watch the heavyweights, by which I'm being grossly sarcastic, ladies and gentlemen. Oman will actually beat us, you watch. Could you actually make a move here on Sharpie, or are you content to play the team game and defend Eduardo Zamora, Adam? What's the plan?
It got a little bit more. I got a little bit more feisty once Bondi got a bit closer because he was coming. But yeah, it was more just that, basically, there was just difference on the track between the Porsches and the Mustang. Like the sector 1, Dale was very loose through the turns 2, 3, 4, 5 complex. So there was many a times where I was very tempted to have a lunge at 6, but like with the Mustang and its brakes being a bit meh, I wasn't keen to throw it up the inside and possibly touch him. So unless I had a good run, I wasn't going to go for it. But I was very tempted a few times.
I reckon, even though I'm not a Vic regional viewer, I think I've heard exactly what you're on about before as well, Dyso. Thank you for the throwback there, if you like. Lap 9. Stephen Lawrence, Paul Wood, Dale Sharp, and Adam Lavis, Eduardo Zamora in 5th position at the moment. Speaking of regional Victoria, some news developing out of there this week, and all I can say with regards to that at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, is watch this space. Just looking to get a bit more information on that before I go full tilt at it. But yes, some news developing out of regional Victoria this week that'll be very interesting to keep an eye on. 11 minutes and 20 seconds gone. Across the start-finish line we go again. Stephen Lawrence, there's just no catching him at this point. 6 seconds to the good. Paul Wood is second, 1.8 clear of Dale Sharp. The damage was done early for Stephen Lawrence, who's just checked out. 1:15.214, his fastest lap of the race thus far. Bondi makes light work of Eduardo Zamora, now goes out in pursuit of the Aussie Racers trio. And all three of them running A, different colours, and B, different cars. Woodsy in the teal is running the Merc. Lavis in the green is wearing the wearing the Ford badge tonight. And of course, Dale Sharp in the BMW in the red there. The trusty Bimmer. Dale falling back in love with the BMW once more, which is good to see.
So, some of us do think about you, Zach, and make it easy for you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. There's a lot that don't. Well, by that being said, it's always interesting too, and I love picking the brain of some competitors and some teams with regards to all of this. Right? Could you imagine if this was, Formula One, or if this was MotoGP, and you had everyone in the same team running a different manufacturer? That's the unique beauty, I guess, of the sim world, that you guys don't necessarily have to align with the manufacturer. You can wear your team colour and go and have some sort of leverage with regards to your vehicle of choice.
Indeed, it's always good because also just especially with these multi-make series for your GT classes, everyone has their own driving style, and everyone has there's car. Some people choose the car just because they like the car, but a lot of people will also choose the car because it suits their style, whereas another car they might struggle with a bit. So. It does give you that flexibility to try and find what fits you best.
How fearful are you at the moment of the lurking presence of one C Bond?
I was, when he first got past it, I was like, okay, Dale, we need to hurry up. But yeah, he sort of gets close, but not quite close enough to make a move. So it wasn't too bad in this race.
Copy. Yeah, I was going to say, he is very exuberant. He's got that youthful sort of flair about him. He doesn't hold back. He's a smart racer when he needs to be, but he can be. There's a bit of Marcus Watson about him in the type of aggression that he can sometimes bring to the table. And no doubt a little bit of red mist would have descended the fact that he did start from pit lane as well. So chasing his tail across the line as we start lap 12, the penultimate lap of the race. Right on board with Bondi now on the inside to turn 1. Getting very close to that concrete wall on the right-hand side. And now around the back of the circuit we go once more. Big weekend, of course, coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Final weekend of the Winter Olympics from Milano Cortina, and we're very excited about that. And also, if you don't mind, the first round of the World Superbike Championship, which could be the beginning of a Phillip Island swan song, really, given the news that we got yesterday that MotoGP are heading to the streets of Adelaide, like, seriously. Those of us that have been in the game long enough are raising eyebrows at that one. Dale Sharp holds off Adam Lavis, white flag in the air, this time by for Stefan Lawrence. And across we go. Then Dale Sharp in third, Adam Lavis is fourth, Craig Bond, Eduardo Zamora, then Register, then Justin Carr, then Shane Beaumont, then Brett Bradbury as well. The only problem is that I'm going to have now is now that I'm training myself to ignore the H and the I in Justin's name, the next time I see that surname and it is actually pronounced with the HI, I'm going to cock it up. That's the only thing I'm fearful of now. The joys of the English language. There's so many different variations of it. Final lap, final roll of the dice, final chance. These guys aren't going to reel in Paul Wood. They're not going to catch him, but they are just trying to keep Craig Bond at bay and bag a top five finish position here. Or finishing position, I should say. And here comes Stefan Lawrence thinking that he might have underfueled himself. But he's not done that. He's around the final quarter. He's onto the main straight. He's seeing the checkered flag. It's a faultless run. It's a clean run. It's an unimpeded run. It's a lonely run, but it's enough to bag a W. And Stefan Lawrence joins the winners list in Disruptive Labs GT4. Nicely done. Paul Wood, Darryl Sharp, Adam Lavis, Craig Bond, Eduardo Zamora, then Mark Register, Justin Kahir, Shane Beaumont, then Brett Bradbury. Magnificent. Magnificent. So, Register Car, Beaumont and Bradbury round out the field. Justin's come through in 8th, just held off Beaumont, literally pushed to the line all the way. And Bradbury will round out the running order and he will start the second race from position number 1. Winning margin 6.94 seconds in the end. Lawrence absolutely smashed them. Wood, Sharp, Lavis, Bond. Bond got back to 5th. Nice recovery. And he'll start 6th for race number 2. Not a bad run in all of that. The 3 Aussie racer entries, 2, 3 and 4, as I said, gone was the chance to really make their teammate Paul Wood work for second. But their focus was just getting home, ticking the box, but also seeing off the looming threat of Bondy. And as I said, if that was a circuit which lent itself a bit more to overtaking opportunities, that might have been a different scenario there, but very nicely done from all and sundry. They know that there's a minimal field tonight, but there's also plenty of opportunity as a result of that to go out and take bag 2 finishing results, do everything possible to ensure that you finish both races, maximise your potential points haul, and do your championship aspirations no harm whatsoever. 11 past 11 local server time as we press on here to race 2. You just saw the merch store flash up. Merch.GSRC.inc is where you go for all your GSRC merch and paraphernalia. Brett Bradbury and Shane Beaumont the front row. Justin Cars alongside Mark Register on the second row. Eduardo Zamora, Craig Bond from 3. Adam Lavis, Dale Sharp from 4. Paul Wood, Stefan Lawrence from 5. Can he do the double? Strategy will play a part here. 11 past 11 local server time, 16 km/h winds. That part I can tell you. If we can bring that back, please, Adam, just on the right there. Can we do that just briefly or not? Yeah, we can. 19 km/h winds in a south-southwesterly direction. 19 degrees the ambient, 20 on track. And so still relatively cool and mild and comfortable. And overcast conditions. But as you can see, despite 69% humidity, it is nice and dry. Bradbury and Beaumont the front row. We had 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 in that opening race. We've only got 4 on the grid. No McLaren, no Aston Martin tonight. It'll be interesting to see how you guys use strategy to your advantage here with regards to the compulsory pit stop of the transit of the pit lane through that window, just to see how this race plays out, because that could well be, as Brett Bradbury wastes no time, doesn't muck around at all in putting his foot to the ground and getting on with the job at hand. Race 2 is underway, and it'll be interesting to see who positions himself best. As Lawrence makes the lunge down there on the inside of Paul Wood and goes through. Dale Sharp. Oh no! Has he been turned? Has he been turned? And will that result in an invoice for Stefan Lawrence? We'll wait and see. Oh my goodness. Mark Register is sitting there in 4th place already. How appropriate that question with regards to the stewards room comes through. Bang on an incident. Right on cue. Maybe it's an opportunity to let you know that yes, we do have a stewards room. Yes, we do have live race control when we're able to. And it may well be called into action tonight. Bondi under pressure here from Eduardo Zamora, trying to get by Mark Register as well. Zamora on the outside, Bond in the middle of the circuit. Register under pressure, Bond dives to the inside. Bondi goes through. The door was left open, Zamora pounces on that as well. And so too does Lavis. Forceful. Fine margins to work with, narrow gap, made it work. Nicely done. Down the main straight, Lawrence is going to try and go through to 8. Dale Sharp sitting back of the field at the moment, a long way off the pace, 11 seconds in fact, and Paul Wood sits 9th. But yes, just clear air strategy, undercut, overcut, all those variables are going to be in effect here. Someone will, I think, be able to put themselves in the best possible position here, Adam, to use the pit window to their advantage. To maximise their positional gain here, because as we've already seen, overtaking is not going to come easy, so you need to exercise a little bit of racecraft, as Bondi makes a fool of me by making that look particularly easy, getting by on the inside of Justin Carr. It's going to be interesting. You guys, some of these races, you need to use strategy to your advantage. Zamora there side by side with Carr as well, trying to get through and does so to 4th. Use strategy to your advantage, especially in these invert races. Even though it's only a minimal field of 10, every point's a bonus on a night like this. So the earliest you'll possibly be able to come in at a 21-lap race, let's say it's lap 5, for instance. I'm just plucking number 17 air now. If it's lap 5, we could see someone go as early as that to put themselves in what should be relatively clear air, considering how well bunched up everybody is at the moment. 1:16.774 for Eduardo Zamora, fastest lap of the race. Lavis dives to the inside. Lawrence goes with him. They displace Carr. Carr back down the inside of Lawrence. Lawrence muscled out of it. No, goes around the outside instead of Justin Carr.
And you can see right there that this is the struggle we all had last night, especially with Stefan. That Porsche under brakes in turn 1 was like absolutely ridiculous. Like there was no one holding a candle to it. Like I was deep on the brakes there to get past, and he was actually catching me and almost coming the back of me, and he still pulled up relatively easy in the end. So yeah, the brakes in that Porsche are quite handy in this class.
Beaumont, Bond, Zamora, Rudbury, Lavis, Lawrence, red top 6, Carr, Register, Wood and Sharp the top 10. And Bondi at that point, you just saw, was making a move and made it stick on Eduardo Zamora as well. So very nicely done. Three minutes and 50 into the race. It's a 27-minute affair. On the run down to turn 1. 3 laps gone. As we say, we're going 21 laps in this race. It's Brett Bradbury in 4th place at the moment, under pressure here from Adam Lavis. Far better run for Brett than what we saw in race 1 so far. I don't want to speak too soon and put the mocker on him. Beaumont, the race leader. So absolute debacle, sitting 1st and 7th at the moment. Bondi there in 2nd position. I'll tell you what was an absolute debacle. Bondi, big dive down the inside. The boy from Gundagai wants to lead this one from the front. Side by side with Beaumont. Through we go. Ripple strip, Zamora tucked in to follow Bondi through, but he's too far back to make it pay for the moment. Beaumont back down the inside. No, he balks, he yields, he gets out of it. Zamora uses the ripple strip and a little bit of grass to get through on Beaumont. Lawrence gets through on Bradbury. Stefan is 4th, and we're back to 4 manufacturers in the top 4, and Bondi And they're right on cue, right on cue. How did I know that it was going to be my mate Adam Lavis? He goes straight to pit lane as soon as is possible. Very nicely done. Comfortable with your 1 lap pace to make that work for you in the long run, Adam? Or?
Well, I figured I was faster than at least half the guys ahead of me, so it was always going to be a better option.
Oh, no.
How did Woodsy get past that?
Well, that's exactly right. But more to the point, Bradbury's had, if he didn't have any luck, if he had no luck tonight, it would be better than the bad luck he's been having.
And to put the point on the clear, Dale Sharp's currently got the fast lap because he's been clear of the whole race.
Yeah. I mean, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck. Brett Bradbury, it's just unbelievable. Shane Beaumont third at the moment. Zamora has gone to second. He has got by. And now Beaumont falls back into the clutches of Lawrence. Lavis goes early. He goes lap 4. He goes earlier than anybody. All right, good couple of laps. Nobody else entertaining the idea of pit lane yet on lap 5. 1:16, 1:27 for Eduardo Zamora. Lawrence to the inside and deep to turn 1. Got it. Running a ride up in the third. Pun purely intended. Tell you what was an absolute debacle. I've already told Adam Lavis this, ladies and gentlemen. I need to clean it up for the benefit of those of you that are tuning in to what is allegedly a family-friendly broadcast. I jumped onto the Ticketek website this morning. I thought I'll have a look at the pre-sale for Jimmy Jeffries and his tour that's coming to Australia in July and August. And what an absolute debacle that was. Got on, pre-sale starts 11 a.m. I'm watching the clock tick down to 0. I get in there, and because of the 112 year and 1 hour time difference we live on up here in Queensland, I had to wait yet another hour till 12 o'clock Eastern to get into the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. And then I go away for an hour, I come back, I get in there, and the first thing I see is the same screen that I saw an hour earlier saying, come back another time. We're not ready for you yet. People have since been able to get in, but if you're advertising that you're going to be ready to go at 12 p.m. when it really should be 11 a.m., at least be ready. At least have your SH1T together so that people can get in, do their business, and get out. Second is Eduardo Zamora, and that's because Paul Wood has bailed and gone to pit lane, so he's followed in Adam Lavis' footsteps, albeit 2 laps later. Lavis is going to come out pretty much right bang on with Paul Wood. He's just actually overlapped him. So Lavis is out in front, and his teammate Paul Wood will follow him through the margin 1.3 seconds. Brett Bradbury is parked up and retired, so that ruins the run that he's been having. That ends his night abruptly and prematurely. The interesting thing for mine, in all of that, so I go onto the Ticketek website and I'm having a look around, and there's a memo there that tells Perth people to come back at 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock their time, all that sort of stuff. The memo for the Queensland people didn't come up until after 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so half an hour after some of us had already tried to log in. And then you go back in there and you're trying to access tickets, and it's saying, no tickets are on sale yet, or it's only available for people with a code or whatever else. It was a pre-sale for Ticketek members. So people have since been able to get in, but I had long given up, and that's just $81 that I shan't be spending anymore, which is money better spent elsewhere at this point. I'll just watch it on Netflix like everyone else. Very disappointing, but no surprise really that Ticketek is still an absolute disgrace of an operation in 2026. Stephen Lawrence chases Craig Bond. So Bondi the leader early on here in race 2. Lawrence trying to do the double, but I'm interested if he's got an invoice coming his way, Adam Lavis, because of that incident with Dale Sharp on the opening lap. Down the inside of Bondi. No, Bond moves across and covers that off.
We'll check out the race. I'm pretty sure Dale just went on cold tyres.
Copy. Beaumont, Carr, Register, then Sharp, then Zamora, then Lavis, then Wood and Bradbury. Apologies in advance to Justin if I do slip up on the... it's like brainwave, brain memory power training, etc. and so forth. I will slip up on Justin's surname Carr until I'm familiar with saying it that way. It's just got to train myself for the next short while. Lap 9 of 21. Bond and Lawrence lead on what is a rather quiet afternoon on the west coast of the United States. What is a rather quiet Friday afternoon for us on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It's still a big weekend of sport coming up, which we're very much looking forward to. Lavis and Cabin in central commentary for you this afternoon. Tonight it'll be Banks and Baldwin, and it will be GTE coming to you. More details with regards to when you can catch it and where they'll be racing and for how long. They're off to the city of the Bulls tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be coming your way a little bit later on. Small field last night. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Decided to miss
there was a touch there.
There certainly was. It was Lawrence on Bond, and Lawrence down the inside goes to the lead. But that might be shots fired. That might be shots fired. These two could have at it now, because if there was a touch, Bondi won't have taken that too well.
How much is that angle?
And he's back down the inside.
That angle then emphasised how much bigger the Mustang is to the Porsche. Oh.
Yep. Side by side we go. Lawrence is in the grass. Had to get out of it. Bondi goes through. I wouldn't have possibly thought you could go 2 by 2 through there safely. And Lawrence ends up compromised and half a second in arrears as a result. Wowee. Eddie Patterson with some spoilers ahead of our coverage of the Porsche Cup for you, ladies and gentlemen. The Pogo Stick Porsche Cup car is compliant at Sebring with all the Pogo Stick bumps, complementing the new car, it would seem. So two negatives make a positive, it would seem, in that instance. Good stuff. Love it. Love it.
I wouldn't say that it negated it, but the fact that you're already bouncing kind of made you prepared for the extra bounces.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Bond, Lawrence, Register and Wood, the top 4. Lavis, Zamora, Kahir, Beaumont and Sharp, the top 9. And Brett Bradbury sits back there in 10th position as we make our way around the back of the circuit. They go. Lane straight. Bond the leader. Lawrence goes to pit lane. Bond will continue to lead the race from the front. He and Register now the only two yet to stop. Brett Bradbury remains the only retirement. Dale Sharp, of course, still running around at the back of the field and is probably confined to there for the balance of the evening, barring a mistake from somebody else. It's a fairly lonesome sort of run, and one mistake in a race this long is all you need to be running around on your lonesome for the balance of the night. He won't encounter any traffic, he won't have any battles, and as long as he continues to tick the boxes, 9th looks like it'll be his. Wood, Lavis, then Lawrence, then Zamora, then Kahir, then Beaumont. Register comes through in behind all of them. So a mixed bag here, really. Wood continues. So hang on. So Woodsy's got back by you.
Oh, he was faster than me, yeah.
Copy. I was going to say, we didn't see that, so I was wondering what was going on.
I showed it. You were
Okay.
you were talking about something else.
Copy.
But yeah, at this point here, once Lawrence came up behind us, we're like, hold on. We're both like, does that mean Bondi's going to come out behind us as well? What's going on here?
The undercuts worked beautifully for you blokes so far, and that's what I was kind of drawing the point at. The undercut has, so the overcut worked for Woodsy, obviously. You've let him go with pace. That's all good and well, but Lawrence has come out behind you. Zamora, Carr, Beaumont, Register have all stopped later. Register stopping the latest, and he's out only ahead of Dale Sharp. So obviously, the later you've gone, the worse off you've been. Bondi's threshold at the moment is 28.7, but what's the transit? You close to within half a second of Paul Wood at the end of this 12th lap at the end of the main straight, but not going to pose a threat to him at this point in time. I guess your main task now is trying to fend off the attack of Stefan Lawrence behind you there from Riot Sim Racing. Anytime I've tried an undercut, it ends up a self-uppercut. Yes, we've seen that many times, Betty, unfortunately for you. Pit lane stop and holds or any number of other unrelated incidents. Yeah.
Well, that was like one of the perks of the fact that in a smaller field is the undercut was very unlikely to be impeded because of the small field. So they put it as a much lower risk strategy than it normally is, because normally if you undercut, you're putting yourself back in the midst of the back runners of the field. So there is usually a risk to play, but tonight it was relatively risk-free to gamble that way. So that's so far so good.
There's a few people that could apply that same analogy, Betty. There's a few people out there that are probably deserving of an uppercut. A self-served one would be sufficient enough. And I mean literally, not figuratively. 9.5 minutes to go. Bond, Wood, Lavis, Lawrence. So 2 Fords, a Merc and a Porsche in the top 4s, are more of the best of the Bimmers in 5th. Oh, what might have been for Dale Sharp. Here's Lawrence down the inside of Lavis. L on L. Lawrence on Lavis, Porsche on Ford. Porsche gets the job done. Goodbye. Now out in pursuit of Paul Wood. Now, what does this mean with relation to Bondi? The margin is still stationary at 28.7 seconds. The boy from Gundagai not yet coming to pit lane. He's on lap 15. He's going gangbusters here. That's a good question, Nick Wood. I wish I knew. The pit lane transit, 34 point... Well, those are the times inclusive of the stops. So you've got to take, in Paul Wood's case, you've got to take 7.3 seconds off that to give you 27.3. The margin is 28.6 in favour of Bondi. This is going to be razor tight, razor thin, the margin when they come back out onto the racetrack. So watch Bondi when he comes to pit lane. That is going to be a defining moment of this car race. And he would love nothing more, Bondi this is, he would love nothing more than to have a race win here, right, in the dry, because for so long he's been trying to shake off that, out of the clouds performance where he won on a drying track at Alton Park. It's a bone dry track. He'd love to win this one on merit. And like, we could argue until we're blue in the face, the absence of some of the heavyweights of the series, some of the big guns. But the reality of the matter is, in any circumstance, you've still got to be in it to win it. And he's in a very good position to try and do that very thing here tonight. 16 laps in, it is 21. The question is, everybody else has gone remarkably early. Everybody stopped before halfway, with the exception of Stefan Lawrence and Mark Register, who are half a lap beyond halfway. And Bondi, 5 laps beyond that, it's going to be at the earliest, lap 16, before we see him on pit road. The question is, if Stefan Lawrence punches out the fastest lap of the race to close within a quarter of a second of Paul Wood, 1:15.514. The question for mine is whether or not Bondi can nail the pit entry, the pit exit, and not muck up the stop. Got to go in, got to take the required fuel, it's got to be centimetre perfect. Wood still fending off Lawrence at the moment. In he comes now. Bondi's on pit road. Lawrence all over, hovering all over the bag of Paul Wood like a cheap suit here. I'll tell you one circuit I am excited for. When it launches on the iRacing server, they're currently in the process of building the Grand Prix St. Petersburg venue for the online world. I cannot wait to see that launch. Bondi's on his box. 7.55, so he's given Paul Wood 0.2 of a second. They're going to come out and pass him, I think. Have a look at this. Bondi's out, but he's behind. He's lost out of the pair of them. Lawrence and Wood swoop around the outside and take the lead away from C-Bond. A genuine 3-horse race here with 5 laps to go. Bondi's lost out by the skin of his teeth. And it's 0.8 of a second, the difference between Paul Wood and Craig Bond. Bondi's transit can't have been bad, but it's enough for the deficit to disappear. The stop near on faultless, quarter of a second, but even quarter of a second wasn't going to stop those two with the pace and momentum they had from going on by. Hard work now to leave for Bond. And Lavis is only a second and a quarter away as well. Good fun.
Yeah, the other interesting thing too is even at the start of the race they got separated by the field, the Absolute boys have found themselves back together again.
Indeed.
Oh, hang on.
Oh! Wild ride for Justin Carr. Drops in behind Beaumont. Drops a spot. And now Lawrence is applying the blowtorch to Wood. And Bondi's right there as well. He can see first in the offing there, but he just can't reach out and snatch it. Four and a half minutes to go. Porsche just from Sebring to follow. Can't wait to bring the elite split from there. Hopefully a bit more stimulating an affair than what we saw in the supercars on Wednesday night. Whoa! Sliding through Stefan Lawrence on the limiter. Good stuff. This is super stuff. Round they come, onto the main straight again. Another lap in the books. 3 to go at the line. Can Paul Wood pull this one off and keep Stefan Lawrence at bay? Can Bondi find a way back through? 2 and 3 laps would be a big ask. He's within a second of Woodsy, but getting past Stefan Lawrence will be no straightforward assignment. No easy task. 3 laps to go. I think iRacing might just get a little bit of time back, actually, on this one. Yeah. So the house will win this one, but that's okay. Maybe not. We'll see. 2.5. Yeah, actually, no, we'll be right. It'll just be over that 27-minute threshold. Lawrence to the inside of Wood. Lawrence to the inside of Wood. They bang doors, ladies and gentlemen. Stefan Lawrence and Paul Wood are side by side. Porsche versus Merc. German engineering at its finest. Side by side on the run through the back of the circuit in Oregon. They tried this earlier. It was Lawrence and Bond on this occasion. Lawrence still tries to go 2 by 2. Somehow keeps it together and Bond closes in. 2 laps to go. 2.5 minutes to roll the dice. We're going to come back to the line about 10 seconds into overtime, maybe 15 at most. And down the main straight goes Lawrence. It's now or never for Stefan. Woodsy was too late to close the door. Lawrence was deep into the corner, but he gathered it up and caught it and made it work. And we've got a new race leader. He's out of pursuit of the double tonight. Stefan Lawrence and Riot Sim Racing. A very lively lap and a quarter, and now Wood's going to get on the defensive from Bond. So the threat is not over yet for Paul Wood. My goodness. How good is this? White flag flies this time by the line. Adam Lavis has had a lonely run in the back half of the race to fourth. He's only 1.7 off the pace, but it'll be another fourth place finish for him in all of this. White flag flies in Oregon. And Stephen Lawrence is one lap away from the double. We haven't seen a double up on a sprint night so far this season in Disruptive Labs GT4. That might be about to change. Bondi bobbling Porsche style over the ripple strips for a turn 1. And 2. Oh, what might have been for Paul Wood. He did so well to withstand the pressure, but was not able to contain Stephen Lawrence any longer. Register sits there in 8th. He's caught the back of Cahir and Beaumont. Dale Sharp is also trying to catch them. He's 3 seconds further back. Eduardo Zamora with a lonely run to 5th. Adam Lavis with a lonely run to 4th. Paul Wood making a last gasp dive, but to no avail. And Stephen Lawrence on the west coast of the United States, having grabbed his first win of the campaign about 25 minutes ago, is going to double up and get it done in Oregon. Lawrence wins round 5 at Disruptive Labs GT4 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club as Jordan Malcolm chimes in from the Harbour City. Oh boy. Lawrence Wood, Bond, Lavis, Zamora, Beaumont, Cahir, Register and Sharp. Both finishing order in all of that. Dale Sharp's race run in the opening lap, you would say. Gallant effort from Paul Wood. Bondi only finishing just outside a second back. Lavis, a consistent showing from him. Double top 5 finish for you tonight, and Paul Wood as well. Adam Lavis ahead of Eduardo Zamora, Shane Beaumont, Justin Cahir, Mark Register, Dale Sharp and Brett Bradbury. Well, there you go. Oh boy. Big 36 hours. Yeah, agreed. I'll agree with that, Munchie. Absolutely. And we've said it before. We usually say it with regards to the legends in Formula V. You only need 1 or 2 good battles on the racetrack, even in a depleted field, to deliver a good spectacle. Good stuff. Stephen Lawrence with the double. Yep, absolutely. Had to do it for Jordan. Keep the team spirit flying. Keep the team colours prominent. Very nicely done. Championship standings. Have a look at that. Wow-wee. Lawrence with the double. A clean sweep goes up to 5th in the points. 40 points covers the top 5. No luck for the Bimmers so far. They're only down in 7th. But as you can see, it's a 4-manufacturer race. It's Merc, it's Porsche, it's Ford. 12 points covers Lavis and Bond. 13 covers the top 3. 17 covers the top 4. Game on with the final 5 rounds of the championship ahead of us here, ladies and gentlemen. But Stephen Lawrence, the first sweep of the season. Pole and 2 race wins and a very dominant performance at that. As he said, had to do it in the absence of Jordan. Had to fly the flag and did that, and did so immensely well. And that's one that he can be proud of, and also the team will be very happy with as well. So that's what it means for the series here. Wood, Lavis, Bond, Malcolm, Lawrence, Beaumont and Sharp, the top 7. Cahir, Jones and Zamora, the top 10. 102 covers 1st and 10th. The run home in the series looks like this. Off to the Algarve next week. Algarve International Circuit, Portimao, Portugal, next Thursday night, 40 minutes there, the journey. Not sure when Adam Lavis and I are bringing you that one yet, but it's probably another Friday afternoon replay. We'll see. Then on to Mount Panorama Bathurst, then to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So 40-minute races ahead of us the next 3 weeks. Then we go back to sprint racing at Bondi's favourite, Alton Park. He'll love that I've said that. And especially if we go to drying circuit again. And the Nürburgring World Endurance Championship configuration. So that's the Grand Prix course, essentially. With the secondary chicane on the back straight there, not the Nordschleife. So we've got the Nordschleife for the Porsches the week before. We've got the Nürburgring Grand Prix layout with the World Endurance chicane for the 10th and final round, which will be Thursday night, March 26th, from the special time of 7:25 Eastern Daylight Time, noting full well that it is an extra extended race, that one, the Enduro, a 60-minute affair, and we'll also have a super sprint in the Porsches that same night as well. Hey, speaking of Porsches, well done to our colleagues over at the Australian Sim Racing Group. They've had over 100 expressions of interest lodged already for their Porsche Cup Series, their Porsche Pro Invitational Series offering this year. Not to be unexpected, that was completely unsurprising when I spoke to Brenton O'Brien, their head honcho, the other day, because of the interest that they had in GT3 last year. And of course, when you think about the fact that in GT3 you were nominating teams, so multiple drivers per car, and now we're back to individual bragging rights and individual positions and driving seats. Yeah, not surprising to see at all that the response has been through the bloody roof. Very good stuff. So that's like one of the double-header done for you. We've got, as I say, only 6 races left in this series. We've done 3 sprint rounds in the first 5 weeks. Races 7 and 8 go to Stefan Lawrence for Riot Sim Racing. Did we get a look at that? We didn't actually. Did we get a look at what Sharpie did to himself at turn 1? Lap 1 of that? Or can we not go back to that, Adam?
I came off just a little bit. Hang on.
You're right. All good. We'll wait. Merch.tgsrc.com, GSRC merch.myshopify.com is where you go for your GSRC merchant paraphernalia. Let's have a look at this. This was lap 1. I was worried about the dive from Stefan Lawrence, but it was to no avail. And yes, the angle that we saw was from the other side of the circuit. It looked like Stefan was a lot closer than that, but as you can see there, clear gap between Stefan and Dale. Dale all on his own, cold tyres, as Adam correctly pointed out, and that's where the damage was done. We're done. 3 minutes past 2 on the East Coast. Well, most of it anyway, the progressive and civilised parts. 3 past 11 on the West Coast, 3 past 4 in New Zealand. You're watching Thursday night replay on Friday afternoon Motorsport, the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube, and the Disruptive Labs GT4 series at the halfway point. It's a fascinating title fight that's brewing here as we set ourselves up for the second half of the season. 5 genuine contenders in the mix, and bugger all separating them on the points table. As I said, 40 points covers the top 5 after the first 8 races. There's only 6 to go, and strategy will play a big role in the next 3 weeks, particularly considering that we do have 3 40-minute races ahead of us there. That final race will be 60 minutes. It will start 15 minutes earlier than the other 9 rounds do. And then, of course, that's so that we can still get the Porsche Cup underway at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A break from here and back. Turning our attention back to Sebring. We've seen enough of that this week, haven't we? Where is Nick Fodiatis? He's been talking to me about MotoGP this week. No wonder. He's trying to take his mind off the fact that the GSRC's based itself in Sebring for the week. Hopefully we'll see him back on track at some point, but it won't be there. Porsche Racing next for the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and at the end of that, don't forget, we'll have the results from the elites, from the amateur split, from the open split, and the updated championships table points for you as well. 40 minutes from the airfield in Florida to bring Thursday night on a Friday afternoon Motorsport to end for you here on night 4 of week 5 of term 1 of 2026 on the other side of this short break. Stay with us. Friday afternoon motorsport for you, live, exclusive and free. The commentary thereof. The race is on delay, on relay for you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world. We're back at the Sebring International Raceway for the third time this week. Of course, we've already had the Oz Legends Cup and Supercars doubleheader from that venue. And how lucky were we, Adam Lavis, that our good mate, our colleague Dan Yeaman was able to escape work an hour earlier than planned on Wednesday, so that we're able to still bring you that race live earlier in the week, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, we would have been here for an extra hour today. But still, nonetheless, we get an elite dose of Porsche Cup racing for you here, ladies and gentlemen. 40 minutes the journey for this round of the championship, round 5 of 10, race 7 of 16. Yeah, 3 sprint rounds coming up in the back half of the campaign. Very exciting times. 5.8 kilometres this circuit, 63% humidity, 5 kilometre an hour winds, 24 degrees the track and ambient temp at the moment, and so far it is dry. Championship points coming into this round in the elite split, and it's a tight points race, there's no doubt about that, on the back of the shenanigans of Daytona last week, which we still can't quite believe, quite frankly. Good to see Andrew Dyson back on the grid. How disappointing to not have him part of that historic finish last week at the World Centre of Racing. Hayden Smith 187, plays Andrew Dyson 174, Ryan Jones 169, but we know he's not on the grid tonight. We also know that Marcus Watson is not on the grid tonight. Watto, he thought he was just in the naughty corner for GT3. He's now in the naughty corner for a whole week, and I'm not 100% sure why, but he won't be on the grid tonight. It's going to be a long week for him. Looking forward to hearing from him next week, though. At least he now gets out of having to contend or grit his teeth through Miami. So, you know, glass half empty, glass half full, I think he'll be okay. Alex Barrell on 136, Reece Keane 134, Jeff Adams 126, Willie Blair 121, 112 for Alan Dawson, and Corey Lazarus on a charge on the comeback trail. On the grid tonight and on 109 points in the championship fight. Obviously didn't have a great run at Imola a couple of weeks ago, but let's see how he fares here at Sebring. Grid looks like this. 40 minutes, flag to flag, ladies and gentlemen. 20 laps the journey. Andrew Dyson, Corey Lazarus, the front row. Server and weather settings for you. Oh, look at that. We're heading towards sunset in Florida. It's a beautiful afternoon. The twilight, Sunset Boulevard will be just that. Dry conditions, 28 the on-track temp, 42% humidity, partly cloudy conditions, 27 the ambient, and 187. So that's a stiff southerly breeze coming through there, tending southwesterly, and 14 kilometre an hour winds at 5:15 in the afternoon. Dyson Lazarus the front row, Pedersen Smith the second row, Watson Keane the third row, Barrel on Blair the fourth row, and Aidan Schweikert alongside Jack Humphreys on row 5. Only 21 in the field tonight. Bit of a depleted field here as well, unfortunately, but still quality over quantity in this instance. Jeff Adams, James Glasspool from 6, another DPR representative there. Andrew Smith, Rodney Golan from 7, from 8, Paul Rogers, Dean Reddit from 9, Nick Wood, Jaden Wilcox from 10, Craig Bond and Brooklyn Breton. And the last one on the grid is Aaron Cooper, if he's actually taking to the starting line or not. We'll wait and see. It's still about half a minute for Bond and Cooper to join us. We're waiting. In a holding pattern here, patiently, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to rock and roll. The 7th race of 16 in the Porsche Cup campaign. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Doesn't look like we're going to have a full field lining up here. Bond has just chimed in at the back, so that makes 20. Are we without Aaron Cooper? It would appear so. Ready to fire. Round 5. Thursday night motorsport. Replayed on a Friday afternoon for you. Let's go to work. Great start out of the blocks. The whole shot for Benny Pedersen on the inside. Got by Corey Lazarus. Goes to second. Next target Andrew Dyson. Trouble at 1. Goodbye. Willie Blair caught up in all of that. So too Nick Wood and Brooklyn Breton and Dean Reddit and Aidan Schweikert. James Glasspool through to 9th. Already under pressure here. As Andrew Smith and Jeff Adams to contend with. And Adams has been relegated there by Smith. Dyson the leader, Pedersen second. Big move down on the inside. Watson on Smith. And Bradley goes through. King, barrel on Humphries, Glasspool, Smith and Adams, the top 11. Frantic start, hectic start. You'd expect nothing less at Sebring, but a great start, great hole shot, great jump nonetheless from Andrew Dyson, who has been the form man in this series so far, Adam Wade. There's no reason to think that that would be any different tonight. He has really set the Porsche world on fire when he's been in the server so far this term.
Indeed, yes. He's really come to grips with this new updated Porsche Cup car, so it's really suiting his style, and he's making the best of it while he can, while the others are still getting the grips.
Watson under pressure here from Hayden Smith. Lazarus on the tail of Pedersen and Dyson in the back straight for the first time. Dyson, Pedersen, Lazarus, Watson, Smith, barrel on then Keane, Humphries, Glasspool and Smith the top 10. Big moves, moving and shaking on that opening up. The only car in the field that didn't gain a spot somewhere along the way, well, that's just now changed again. Pedersen and Lazarus have swapped around. Lazarus was looking at third for a moment. Pedersen was down his inside, but he's got him back down Sunset Boulevard. So Lazarus goes to second, Pedersen back to third. So the top three remain where they started. Jeff Adams remains where he started and Paul Rogers as well. Everybody else has chopped and changed in some way, shape or form. Down the inside again. Adams. Bond. Through they go. Adams to 10. Trouble! There goes Rodney Gollan. Limping away from the scene of the crime. Willie Blair goes to pit lane. Dyson the fastest lap of the race, 207.049, and already 7/10 of a second to the good. Breaking the slipstream around here, Adam, we found out on Wednesday night in the supercar race that was particularly hard to do.
It is surprisingly, like, because this middle sector is very twisty and technical, but then you got the big drag strips on the other end of the track to bring you back into line. So. And with the bumps here, it's very easy to make little mistakes, so it does have a bit of a yo-yo effect on the gaps.
Does indeed.
As you said, Benny got a little taily out of that corner, and now Pedersen's going to go for a run.
A brilliant move around the outside as well. So those two have been toing and froing throughout the first 2 laps here, and it sets us up nicely for a tantalising scrap and duel for the balance of the evening, you would imagine. Evening server time, of course, 5:15 local server time was when this race got underway. This is, of course, American Eastern time, and we're not yet in the daylight saving window over there in the United States. A concept embraced by much more of a percentage of the country over there than what is the case over here. 4 minutes gone, 2 laps in the book, and Dyson leads Pedersen back to the main straight. One pit lane transit ahead of us tonight here. Jaden Wilcox still showing with the red box next to his name on my timing screen. Trouble at the back
in the background there, Bondi and Wilcox and both got the wall on the exit. That's Bondi's wing mirror in the middle of the track. So he's now got no mirror on the left-hand side.
Did he actually use them in the first one?
Probably not.
He'll love that drive-by when we catch up with him later. Oh, there's the tap, there's the bump, there's the rub. Bondi's going to lose out to Wilcox. That was Andrew Smith that he just smashed into the back of. Wilcox is showing with the elite numbers correct in line with everybody else in the totem pole there, ladies and gentlemen, but he's showing with the red box on my screen at the moment. Good to see that he's on my timing screen. Copy, thank you. But he is now. Oh, trouble at the back. Bit of hip and shoulder there. Dean read it through. Aidan Schweiker, Brooklyn Brennan also involved because obviously we were in that early part of the season where these guys were, of course, sorting themselves out, being allocated to certain splits. Yeah, you're right, Adam. That does the trick. The old wash, rinse, repeat, refresh. Excellent. Who knew?
It's mainly because Wilcoxon just rejoined the club, so I hadn't had him allocated before the race. So I just ticked it up.
Copy. Good to see that he's actually back on platforms for the GSRC. And up 7 spots already, so too is Craig Bond. 4 for James Glasspool, the big movers so far. Brooklyn Bred and Price 5. Didn't really worry too much about positional gains and losses in a 10-car race in GT4 in Portland because you knew, ladies and gentlemen, that Stephen Lawrence with +9 was the biggest mover of that race. That went without saying, quite frankly. Through we go, main straight again. Dyson, Pedersen, Lazarus, Watson, then Smith, then Barrel on, then Keane, then Glasspool, then Humphreys, then Adams, Wilcox, then Bond, then Smith, then Schweikert, the top 14. Oh, trouble! In the wall! Jaden Wilcox on the run down the main straight.
So that's two laps.
That Porsche.
So 2 laps in a row you got that wall?
Yeah, but that's the first one that's really brought him properly undone. That's disappointing for him. Drops right down the order, down into position number 18, and it's a long way back from there. Rodney Golan and Willie Blair, interestingly enough, have already been to pit lane. Blair on lap 1, Golan on lap 2. They're both still out there, but it looks like they're going to have a second invoice coming their way. Benny, I hate to suggest it to you, mate, but it might be a case of deja vu for you. We've experienced this before. We've watched Lazarus disappear into the sunset. We've watched Dench disappear into the sunset. Now it's Daiso's turn. The seasons, the cars, the circuits, the makeup of the lineup all changes, but that element remains the same. There's always one guy that's setting the benchmark at the top end of the order. Last turn being the odd exception to the rule where you and Hayden Smith, of course, had an epic scrap right to the very end, which was great to witness. 7 3/4 minutes gone here. You're watching Friday afternoon Motorsport, replay of Thursday night Motorsport for the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Big afternoon of racing ahead. Big night of racing ahead for our guys, of course. The GTE Series heads to the second of Barcelona, Catalonia tonight. You'll see it live from 8:25 Eastern Daylight Time. Race start 8:30. Joe Baldwin, Liam Banks with you for that one. 1/5 race distance. 20% has come and gone. Down the inside goes Brad Watson. Displaces Hayden Smith, who we were just talking about. He goes to 4th. Here comes Smith back down the inside, though. Not taking that one lying down. He goes back down the inside, and the scrap is on. And again, Watson returns serve. So these two are just going to have at it for a little while, it would seem. Nick Wood, Paul Rogers, Jaden Wilcox, all to pit lane that time through. In Wilcox's case, not necessarily a surprise. But Nick Wood and Paul Rogers have come in remarkably early. Maybe too early, actually, for my liking. 32 minutes into the... 32 minutes to go. Another 16 laps. A long way home from there.
It is, but yeah, I think pretty sure Sebring's one of those tracks where it isn't too bad on the fuel. So I think there is a pretty large fuel window here to get your stop done.
If that's the case, the latest we'll see pit stops could well be lap 16. Yeah, that's the threshold. 4 and 4.
I'm pretty sure when I did my race, it was like you needed just under 5 laps of fuel to get home, I think it was.
Copy. Yeah. Daiso just a cut above at the moment. 1.5 seconds to the good, and just setting the standard. As you quite rightly pointed out, Adam Lavis, he's taken to the new car better than anybody so far. The onus is on everybody else to hone their craft and play catch-up, which I didn't necessarily think I'd be saying with regards to particularly Corey Lazarus, but it's nice to see Kay Lazarus being tested. We haven't seen too much of that in the last 2 years or so, ever since Denchi sort of parked up and focused on other ventures other than the Porsche. Lazarus has had much of it his own way. When he's been here, and of course he hasn't been here all the time. He's been, of course, buying his trade in Europe as well.
Is it camera angle just for person to see if he can figure out those wing settings?
That's, yeah. He'll appreciate that, I'm sure. How good. The platform's the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, where there are no holds barred and there are no secrets, ladies and gentlemen. we're happy to help you snoop around for some intel, it would seem. How good. Results from the Open and Amateur split still to come, of course, folks. GTE tonight. Second half of the term gets underway on Monday. I can't believe I'm saying that already. Just seems like yesterday we were saying welcome to the new year of racing. And yet that was 5 weeks ago. I've asked him already, says Betty Patterson, how good. So Dyson, so much like Stefan Lawrence flew the flag for Jordan Markham, Dyson's had to come in and do it for Ryan Jones. Dyson's absence last week, of course, gave everybody a little bit of a glimmer of hope. But it's very clear that when he's here, it's his to lose, by which I mean it doesn't look like anyone at this point is going to put him under any sort of real serious danger or threat to take the win away from him. So he's going to, the onus is going to be on him to come through, tick the boxes, and if he loses it, he'll lose it himself. You know, be it a mistake on pit road or a trip up on track. It won't be that he's not got the pace, because everywhere we've been so far, he's nabbed the race win when he's been on track. Won at Imola quite comfortably, got the sprint race feature win at both Road Atlanta and Monza. Missed out on race 1. He was 4th at Road Atlanta in a nail-biting finish, and of course 2nd in race 1 at Monza. Next week we go back to sprint racing, and the week after as well, the Hockenheim Ring and the Adelaide Parklands, both coming to the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for the Porsche Cup for the next couple of weeks. Then we go back to single racing from Miami, an enduro from Nürburgring Nordschleife, and then of course off to Phillip Island for a super sprint. Isn't that prominent and appropriate? Both the tracks that have been spoken about so heavily this week, the Adelaide Parklands and Phillip Island, are on their way to our racing schedule. The Adelaide Parklands is an interesting one as well, because obviously there'll be a lot of eyes on what MotoGP do there, and whether or not, now that this plan's been laid bare, unfortunately 12 months too late for iRacing, whether the other event that races there now annually with their NASCAR wannabe final system, or former NASCAR wannabe final system, whether they then adopt the same track layout that MotoGP is going to run, and then how quickly iRacing can get back there and scan the updates. That's going to be interesting for mine, and whether or not, obviously the one good thing about Legacy Adelaide would be that you'd be able to still run the old 1999 to 2026 configuration. And maybe there's some avenue of opportunity there to laser scan what was the old Formula 1 layout while they're at it, because it looks like we're going to go down that same strip of bitumen that Formula 1 used to go down on the new MotoGP circuit.
Yeah, the proposed track map does use the part of the track that's been cut off, so from the original circuit. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes.
So we could be, iRacing could well be trouble and gone. That was Corey Lazarus, and this is exactly the problem he had at the Imola circuit as well. The GOAT of the GSRC Porsche Cup in recent times has got his work cut out for him with getting to grips with the loose rear end on these cars.
And that's going to be sketchy because those tyres are going to be hot, so you be careful next few corners.
And it's also going to be sketchy because now he's boxed in traffic. He was not in any sort of traffic earlier. He had Benny Pedersen obviously to contend with, but he wasn't going with Benny. He'd lost ground. Now he's sitting down in 8th and in all sorts. Glasspool's gone through, Keane, Barrow on Smith, all through. So too Watson, who now finds himself on the podium for PCD. So DPR leads, Riot leads PCD. And Andrew Dyson, 2 minutes .109. 2 minutes .109. Fastest car on the track by a country mile at the moment. But yeah, if iRacing can configure this well enough and work in consultation with the Queensland government, with the South Australian government, I'm getting my wires crossed here. If they can work in conjunction with the government and the organisers over there, there's no reason why they couldn't come back from a second trip to Adelaide with the potential to offer 3 track configurations when we go to Jacko Gold. Yeah, exactly. Hello, mate. How are you? yeah, we were as surprised as you were. Actually, it was nice to see him on the grid and doing well too. But we know as well, even though he's opposed to the pogo stick at the moment, he actually loves racing at Sebring. He's had great success on the platforms of the GSRC when we're going racing at Sebring. He knows that. We know that. The statistical evidence is there to back it up as well. But yeah, if iRacing think about it, a second trip to Adelaide, they could come back and offer 3 configurations. And I say that because we look at something like Wednesday night, where the setup of the club and the way we've gone about it is to try and offer a shorter track configuration for the legend cars and a longer track configuration for the supercars, where we've got other configurations at our disposal. A second trip to Adelaide, end of next year, could well bring that with them. Could well bring us that opportunity. So I hope, for the sake of the virtual world, not so much in the real world, I'm a bit apprehensive about what might happen with MotoGP. There's already a few of us that are questioning the safety of it, but and I mean, I'm not a safety Nazi, right? When it comes to and I probably shouldn't use that word on air either, but you know, we always talk about motor racing is dangerous, this, that, and the other. How safe is too safe, whatever. But motorcycle racing on a street circuit, that just has me on edge already before it's even come to fruition. So iRacing consult with the South Australian government, with the circuit organisers, with the event promoters at what used to be Dorna Sports, and they could well come back from Adelaide with another 2 configurations to offer the iRacing world, and I don't think anyone would be opposed to that. Especially, what will be most interesting is to see what that all means for the other events there going forward, whether that new configuration they're proposing becomes the norm for everybody and it's just a blanket approach, or whether they'll still have license to go about it and offer 2 different configurations for real-world events. And let's not forget, they also have the Adelaide Rally that goes through there and finishes, and the Adelaide Motorsport Festival as well. So a lot to be intrigued about. Hello, Greg Heaney. Yes, you can. 100% you can. But the Isle of Man is steeped in history and tradition. You know, it's not a reinvention of the wheel, so to speak. This is totally new territory where we're going with this. I know Nakauda is a motorcycle Grand Prix as well. Gone in the wall, bang, big time. Corey Lazarus, and that might well be him done. That might well be him done. Look at the front end of that Porsche crunched up. Wowee.
Yeah, it's not tracking.
Wowee.
It's not tracking happy.
No. I mean, yeah. More to the point, Greg, there's a reason why we haven't gone street racing in MotoGP for the longest time. That's more
the
point.
There is a big difference between Isle of Man and MotoGP.
100%.
Isle of Man is time trial where you're 90% of the time by yourself. Every now and then you catch somebody who's a bit slow or whatever, but generally you're not racing side to side. Whereas MotoGP, you go up to 6 guys in the one spot fighting for 1 bit of track with walls around. Could be a bit of a problem.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hope to be proven wrong. I hope to see otherwise. But yeah, I'm just a little apprehensive about that one already. Plus, I've already mentioned it twice on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club this term, that the parochialism of the South Australians borders on the point of insufferable at times, and this week's news will not help ease that, I must say. Big blow for Phillip Island, and big blow for traditionalists. Big blow for the MotoGP calendar, I reckon, as well, because it is, in terms of racing, that was one of the picks of the bunch, one of the best tracks for it.
Well, fingers crossed, maybe this will shake up the owners and organisers of PI and get them to reduce their fees, and V8 supercars when I'm going back there, which would be good.
Well, that's true as well, and actually, you make a good point. How quick was James Warburton yesterday to jump on the forward defensive of that one and say, "Oh yeah, we'd be open to that." Opportunistic, if ever I've seen it. Although that being said, then that brings into question their other predicament at the moment is the amount of political rigmarole they had to trawl through just to extend their calendar to 14 events to accommodate the new one in New Zealand. So does something get chopped or does something get added, you know? And then there was the absolute double standard hypocrisy that came through, and I mentioned this on social media yesterday, but, that in the article that was released by Speed Cafe, saying, supercars will go out of their way to not run an event in conjunction with or on the same weekend as the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix in Adelaide. And that's an absolute load of rubbish from them, because this year will be the fourth occasion in the last decade, 2016, 17 and 19 being the other three, in which MotoGP Australia has run on the same weekend as the Gold Coast event for the supercars. So, I mean, for goodness sake, you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's one thing to say, no, we'll go out of our way to not schedule an event on the same weekend of of our final system. But it's another thing to actually then set out and actually do it. And it would be a rare instance of supercars giving us stuff about anyone or anything other than themselves if they do avoid a clash going forward with MotoGP Australia, it's ludicrous that it was allowed to ever happen in the first place, quite frankly. And that was an unpaid political announcement too, by the way. Lap 12.
So,
and Andrew Dyson leads Benny Pedersen and Brad Watson, and we are pushing ever closer to the pit window, Adam.
speaking of, the plus side for Corey is there is a fast repair, so his car's not shiny again. So now he can get his head down and try and get some places back.
But the problem is the damage that's been done. I mean, he's 14 seconds off Nick Wood, who's the best placed of anyone that's stopped so far. Here comes Craig Dyson. Andrew Dyson leads by 3 seconds, so he's gone up the road. That was Jack Humphries putting two wheels in the dirt coming out of turn 1 and run down towards turn 2. This is where we saw that big smack in the supercar race the other night with Jake Slade and co. Luke Page, I think, was the other protagonist in that. Dyson, Pedersen, Watson, Hayden Smith, Alex Barrelon and Reece Keane, the top 6. James Glasspool, Jack Humphries, Jeff Adams. Jeez, there's a lot of J's in that, isn't there? And then, of course, Andrew Smith make up the top 10. Jaden Wilcox out of the race, so too Willie Blair, 2 retirements so far in Florida. There's Andrew Smith being relegated to 11th by Brooklyn Brennan. Good move, clean move down on the inside. So yeah, no, there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of speculation that'll be rampant for the next, I guess, the next 8 months, Adam. Because the other point in all of that, what was missed in a lot of the hoo-ha yesterday, was that the MotoGP event will become a November affair, right? So that'll tie in obviously with, they've usually got around to the Australian Superbikes at the Bend around that time. I dare say the Australian Superbikes goes and supports the street circuit event. So therefore their visit to the Bend will be at a different time of the year. Then you've got the tyre model is a whole lot better though, is what Benny Pedersen is saying here with regards to the Porsches, which is interesting because it counters what we've seen from the loose rear end grip of Corey Lopez so far, but it's a fair point, and we're going off his experience from within the cockpit as well. But also, of course, that will have a knock-on effect with regards to the makeup of the back end of the MotoGP season, because so traditionally, the third weekend of November has been when the season's ended, fourth weekend at the latest, on the Valencia circuit at the Circuit Ricardo Tormos. So it will have an impact on the makeup, the look of the schedule at the back end of the season for MotoGP. If they do stick with an Australian November date, maybe they end the season here. Maybe Valencia becomes September, early October affair, and then they do the flyaways. Who knows? Big move up on the outside, Alex Barrelon. Whoa, couldn't quite get it done on Reece Keane. So yeah, watch this space, because there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking going on over the course of the next short while whilst the finer details emerge and are put in place. Doesn't entice me to go to South Australia anymore, or less, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's more just a case of it'll still be a better spectacle on television, because if you go to the track, you're only going to see them for 5 or 6 seconds a lap, depending upon your vantage point. certainly be interesting. 25 minutes and 40 seconds gone, 14 to go. 7 laps to go at the line for Andrew Dyson, who's halfway down the back straight. Darren Pedersen is second. The margin is 3.8. These guys are duking it out for 5th at the moment. Barrelon will be right there to have a look at, have a crack at Reese Keane as they enter Sunset Boulevard. To the right-hander. In comes Brad Watson, and in comes Alex Barrelon, right on cue. 2 of the top end of town runners are on pit road for their compulsory pit stop, their transit, their splash and dash. And that cycle in which we cleanse the field is more than halfway through. Only the top 7 on track and Aiden Schweikert yet to stop. So that's 8 of 20. So that's 3/5 of the field have already completed their stop. We're well on our way to getting a clear indication as to who's who in the zoo. I mean, obviously it's very clear that Andrew Dyson and Ben Pedersen are on track for a first and second finish here. Corey Lazarus would have been third on pace, but unfortunately he's had those 2 skirmishes which have brought his charge undone. And this is Jack Humphrey under pressure from Steph Adams, who's had a solid run so far. They're both trying to stay within the striking distance of James Glasspool, but Glasspool's trying to skip away. Dyson, Pedersen, Smith, Keane, Glasspool, Humphreys, Adams, Schweikert. Who rolls the dice this time by? It won't be Dyson or Pedersen. They've gone on to start lap 15. Corey Lazarus on the comeback trial, back to 16th now on the outside of Paul Rogers. Now, more to the point, how's he ended up that far down? So, I mean, he's 7 seconds back on Nick Wood and Brooklyn Breton, but also 5 seconds down on Paul Rogers. So obviously a substantial deficit has been incurred. That's how costly the second mistake was, more so than the first. There goes Aiden Schweikert. Schweikert's had a moment for Sharp EIT. Running very not dissimilar to former Whiskey Business Racing colours, quite frankly. And into pit lane he comes. So he had a moment at Sunset Boulevard. He's now coming down the main straight into pit lane to complete his CPS. But it's interesting, Adam, when you look at all of that.
So like Brad Watson clipped him on the way past, but I think he might have got away with it.
That Corey Lazarus lost that much time, and it wasn't so much the first mistake, but the second added insult to injury, plus the damage sustained. So
the second one,
he's got no hope of working his way back, maybe not even into the top 10 at this rate.
Well, yeah, the second one was compounding, because it was the incident itself, which would have been 5 to 10 seconds. Then he had to Austin Powers himself out of the situation, which is another 5-10 seconds. And then he would have lost another few seconds with the slower car having to do basically a full lap of damage to get himself to pit. So yeah, it was like a worst case scenario other than being out of the race situation, that incident for him. But he'll truck on and try and make the best of a bad situation.
Well, Heaney reckons it looks like a different yellow eye. A bit hard to tell with the glare on the sun down at Sunset Boulevard at the moment. Hey, look at this. Bonding around the outside. Are you kidding me on Jack Humphreys? Wow.
I'm pretty sure, knowing Schweikert being part of the Sharp Boys, it'd probably be more of a grello type colour, because that's their normal colours. So it's a little bit more greeny than yellow. So a little bit of a green tinge to it.
That was aggressive and forceful and clean from Bond too to get by Humphreys. Very nicely done. 10 minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen. then some highlights, then some results, then some championship points. Then we get you out of here for the afternoon. You're back with Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks at 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time tonight for the GTE showdown from the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. Down the back straight, final few laps playing out here. And we're still waiting to see the top 6 on pit road. Surely it has to be this time by for them. These guys are starting lap 16 now, ending lap 15, starting lap... Sorry. Yes, ending lap 15, starting lap 16. The boys at the front, the top 6 that haven't yet stopped, are all on their 16th lap. We saw the first pit stop play out for Paul Rogers on lap 4. In comes Aiden Schweikert a second time. Okay, that's strange. Paul Rogers stopped on lap 4, so did Nick Wood. That was where all hell broke loose, because that was when we got our indicators as to where the threshold was going to be. Adam Lavis.
Schweikert may got a penalty for the pit lane thingy, possibly. Or maybe did have some, maybe with that sudden rush to the pits, he may have forgot to turn something on. Yeah,
that's a good point.
He's done fuel, so yes, he may have forgot to turn fuel on that last stop line.
That's a fair point, actually. Just doing the rounds on social media, and a colleague of mine, or a friend of mine, acquaintance of mine, has said as Andrew Dyson, Ben Pedersen both make their way to pit lane. So, yep, 16. We thought that would be the critical lap. Taking 4 away from 20 gave us 16. 16 the critical lap at the other end of the pit window here. And the top 6 will all head to pit lane this time by. Although, actually, Glasspool's not going to. Glasspool's going to go around again. He starts lap 17. He's going to go 1 lap longer. Is there any merit in stretching it and rolling the dice this late into the piece? One would suggest not, because Ben Pedersen and Andrew Dyson are already on their way back out onto the racetrack. The deficit's going to be nil. You know, the merit in that is questionable. There's none, because he's still going to have to transit the lane. He's still going to come out of the loss to the boys at the front of the field. Jeff Adams comes through and rejoins in 8th spot. And that was Brad Watson coming out just ahead of Reece Keane. Barrelon and Adams, 7th and 8th. Humphries is right there with Bond still. They're still having it at these two. Bond through on the inside to 9th. Good hustle from 19th on the grid from Bondy.
He's compromised himself the entry
right down the inside, he did, and that leaves the door wide open for Humphries. Through he goes. Bond still there, is going to have to reset, recalibrate and go again. What's interesting for mine, so Glasspool Dyson, the running order at the moment, the margin first to second is 4.9. So as I said, that gap is next to non-existent. But going back to what I was saying there earlier, a friend of mine is highlighting some calculator problems for our friends at Speed Cafe, because they've put out there all the info you need to know post in relation to the event going on in Western Sydney this weekend, and they've got a headline: how long is each race at the Sydney 500? Well, according to them, race 1 is 26 laps, 100 kilometres. Race 2 and 3 are 52 laps or 250 kilometres. Now you can see the obvious issue that we have there. They've carried too much across. The track hasn't lengthened. They've just added 50 kilometres from nowhere, 50 non-existent kilometres under each race, to give you 600 kilometres instead of 500, and to give you an inaccurate reading for 2. So I'm glad somebody's pointed that out. Hopefully they'll correct that before too long. Down the back straight, James Glasspool now comes to pit lane. The field is cleansed. There's the sun glaring into their eyes on the run down the back straight. 3 laps to go. How good.
No, he's wide.
Bondy's well wide, too wide. He will do well to gather that up, actually. He's trying the undercut. He's trying the up and under. It's not going to work for him just yet. He's back alongside Humphries down the main straight. He's on the wrong side of the road. Humphries is going to have the line at turn 1. Bondy's going to have to be very forceful, but he's on the dirty side of the road. Is he going to try the up and under again? Is this tactical racecraft gamesmanship? No, Humphries is well awake to what Bondy's trying to pull off here, and defends, drives the car straight down the middle of the road. to keep the boy from gun the guy at bay, to give him a little bit of lesson in racecraft. And Lazarus with another spin and now a smoke show as well. Sorry, Benny, I missed your comment there, mate. I'll come back to it if I can. Right at the moment where there was so much going on for the first time this afternoon that I couldn't actually engage with your comment fully. I know it said something about a serious question. Adam Lavis might be able to draw that up for me and tell me what you were getting at.
He said, serious question for all you lads. Who misses the little lockups and excitement rawness of the old car?
Well, I know he does.
Benny's still on the petition for the old car. He's one of the
he's got agreement there through Fleasy. I like that. I like that. Look, I think you're going to have 6 1/2 dozen of the other, mate. Much the same as you had people that were excited about the new car and those that were opposed to it because of too many driver creature comforts and all that sort of stuff. So far, the racing spectacle's been great nonetheless. But yes, the old car still has its place, and that's not just in our heart. But obviously, from a commentary standpoint, we can't complain with the racing spectacle we've had so far. And it'll be interesting to see the flow and effect of that. There was nothing wrong with the Porsche Racing Evolved as well, unless you're at the bend, because that was as boring as bat, you know what. It's like he just sticks it away. Here's Bondi resetting himself on Humphries once more. 2 laps to go. Bondi down the inside this time. Is he better set, better position this time through? Yes, he is. You better hope that she doesn't, Betty, by the looks of that comment. Bondi goes through tonight. Humphries back to 10th. Only 1 or 2 drivers in this field to remain exactly where they started at the moment. And still under pressure from Andrew Smith. 2:24 on the clock. How good's this? But yeah, look, there are certain elements of it that you miss, mate, but I think overall from the racing quality standpoint, I don't think we've actually quite comprehended the absence or noticed it as much as you drivers have as yet. There may be a time where we'll be pining for it the way you are, but it's not right now. And once they get the pogo stick issues sorted, I think we'll be on an absolute winner here. Dyson's been brilliant tonight, 6.8 to the good, but Benny, to his credit, equally as good. 8.6 seconds up the road. Across the line we go, white flag in the air, and Dyson's on his way home. It'll be interesting to see what's going on upstairs in a moment when I get up there, because I don't know if you heard it at home, but I could hear it through the headset, and these are essentially allegedly noise-cancelling headphones from our good friends at Logitech. I could hear the dog giving whatever was on the street, be it the postman or a passerby that's not new to or not common to the area, a right roll send-off. And that's a puppy dog that also likes to bark at thin air, so it could have been an element of that to it as well. So that'll be interesting to see what's going on. Down the main straight for the final time. Andrew Smith's on his way home. Dyson, Pedersen, Smith, Watson, Keane, Barrelon, Glasspool, Adams, Bond, Humphries. Then Smith, Wood, Bredden, Rogers, Reddit, Lazarus, Golan, Schweikert, Wilcox and Blair. Corey Lazarus in 16th. And 7.5 seconds down the road from Dean Reddit. A real night to forget for the 4-time champ. Who do we have to thank for the supply of the feed, by the way? Because you were obviously over in the open split.
This is a Glenara's replay, but Bondi also sent one in as well. So both those guys up to set. This gets a little hectic here.
Oh. Yeah, it does. It's real hectic.
Humphries has missed out.
Bondi's getting hip and shouldered. Humphries has missed out completely. Bondi was getting hip and shouldered by Smith. Wood goes through as well. Bond's up 10. Wood's up 6. Smith is up 3. Humphries is down 2 after all of that. Oh dear. I'm just shaking my head at the fact that he's capitalised the last word. on that comment, Benny Pedersen. Last turn, checkered flag, the dominant force of the GSRC Porsche Cup returns to the server and resumes his winning ways. Dyson wins in Florida, dominantly at Sebring. Scintillating, smashes the competition. 7.5 to the good on Ben Pedersen, who is 8 3/4 seconds clear of his own teammate, the defending champion Hayden Smith. Then Brad Watson, Reese Keane, Barrel Glasspool, Adams. Bondi still working for 9th position here. Still working his way to the line. Smith on the inside, Wood on the outside, Humphries with no help. Bondi's going to hold on the final corner. Oh, no, they're both gone! They're both gone! Bond and Wood come through. Smith and Humphries. Oh, my goodness. And Brennan as well. Can you believe that? What the hell? Smith comes through, benefits from all that garbage. Wood goes, Humphries goes, Wood reverses across the line. Unbelievable. We need to see that again. There's not much we need to revisit in all of that, but we need to see that again. You are kidding me. Bondi still was working hard and chipping away, had to contend with the pressure mounting from 3 of them, and 2 of them have speared out. The car's just parted company with them. The tyres are let go, they've slid off left and right at Sunset Boulevard and release the pressure valve on the boy from Gun, the guy who comes through 9th, and Smith in 10th. Big margins. That's the only disappointing thing, I guess, to support Benny's point about the old car. But massive margins tonight, very un-Sebring-like. But there were a lot of incidents along the way, weren't there? So Dyson 7.2 seconds ahead of Pedersen. Again, nearly 9 seconds up on Smith, Watson, and then Keane, Barrel Glasspool, Adams, Bond and Smith, then Braden, Rogers, Wood, Humphries, Reddit, Lazarus, Golan, Schweikert, Wilcox and Blair. Wilcox and Blair, of course, non-finishers. So too Aiden Schweikert and all of that. Rodney Golan a lap down, and Corey Lazarus a very, very long way back. Very un-Corey Lazarus-like.
But he's still struggling to get to the finish line.
Yeah, I know. And crabbing. So he's had another incident on the run home, hasn't he? So, all on the same corner too. A replay of the highlights for you, ladies and gentlemen. Willie Blair, unfortunately, turn 1. That was him and Aiden Schweikert. And Blair in the wall. There was an immediate apology. You may have just picked that up on the radio on the way through. Let's watch it from Aiden Schweikert's standpoint. Oh, just completely missed the braking marker, it would seem. It's not dodging cars, boys. Excuse me, coming through, how are you? Oh dear. And then that second incident added insult to injury. Nick Wood was lucky to get away with that, but not without being compromised. Rodney Golan was showing off the road as well. Here it is. Yep. Yeah. Wood had no real where to go, but there was another one behind him that ended up further compromised. Results of the open split, the AM split coming away, ladies and gentlemen. Jaden Wilcox, as soon as he got up on that little bit of off-track bitumen, that little crest, that little rise out of the final corner, as soon as he rose up onto that, he was a passenger. Now, Willie Blair, unfortunately,
you just gave him,
that was him just saying, I've given up, I'm done, I'm throwing in the towel.
He celebrated celebrated his lap 1 effort.
Oh dear. Sebring wins. I'm going for an early shower. Oh dear. And then Rodney Golan, exactly as we saw earlier, although to be fair, he spun before he got to that little rise in the road there. As did Corey Lazarus, and that was 1 of 3. And how lucky was he not to get cleaned up on the way through? And then, very smartly, got himself straight to the inside of the circuit, knowing that he's right in the line, in the firing line there, in the thick of it. Hayden Smith, watch it from his standpoint. There's Lazarus, 3, 2, 1. There's your reaction time, and they go to the inside. Bang. That what could have been, like if that field was a bit more heavily stacked, and if it was lap 1, that would have been disaster for somebody. Jaden Wilcox just pulling off on the 5 circuit and into retirement. And then there goes Corey Lazarus again. That was the bigger hit. That was the heavy hit that rubbed him out of any sort of contention or comeback. Self-inflicted, I think, Benny. Self-inflicted from what we've been able to tell so far, and it was exactly the same, identical incidents. He just, I mean, that little elevation in the road, what's the other word you use for it? Undulation. That little bit of rise and fall on the other side of the white line. It claimed a few victims tonight. Lazarus on 3 occasions, and that one was actually before he even got to the second part of Sunset Boulevard.
And now he's over his tyres. I think he's having trouble getting going again.
Yeah, and at that point he was fed up and had a gutful as well. So, and I can hardly blame him for that. By that point, the tyres were absolutely cooked. Yeah. There's Lazarus again. Position 16. And another spin. That was on the run home. That was when the rear end got crunched up. So by that point, the tyres are absolutely shot. So, I mean, he's an absolute passenger by then in any sort of incident that he encounters. And then we had the battle of the reverses. Final corner, have a look at him.
Just tandem.
Synchronised, ballet, tandem, in sync, Demetric's sympathy, unbelievable for Jack Humphries and also for Nick Wood. Good racing that, and poor old Corey still struggling to get to the line. Sebring a night to forget for the 4-time champ, no doubt about that. Terrible for anything other than a few laps in this car, which is way more realistic. Yeah, that's fair. Results from the open split for you, ladies and gentlemen. That was Jason Wilkinson on top there from Jack Policy in qualifying and Matt Schmidtke. So that was pole, first, second, third and fourth. It was Luke Brooker, fifth was Jonathan Akers, Parker, Benici, King, Reeves and Harris, the top 10. Race results, Jason Wilkinson converting pole into the race win. And like what we saw from Andrew Dyson here, by a relatively comfortable margin in the end, although nowhere near as comfortable in terms of the size of it, but he wasn't under any sort of real major threat there on the final lap. If it was inside half a second, you'd say yes, definitely had to work for it, but Matt Schmidtke just a bridge too far to try and get the job done. Great effort from our former colleague to get into second spot. Sean Benici in for third, 5 seconds back, then Paul Wood. Paul Wilson, Brad Coates, Eduardo Zamora, David Christensen, Luke Brooker and Colby Ashmore. So a lot of chopping and changing there on that running order compared to what we saw in qualifying. Woodsy from 20th and Wilson from 21st, Coates from 16th on the grid and Christensen from 24th. Some big moving in the forward trajectory there for at least half a dozen of those drivers, and 18th was where Colby Ashmore started before coming through to finish 10th.
Yeah, and the annoying thing about those results is you don't see me in you don't see me in 6th place where I should have been, because iRacing gave me a penalty for no reason.
Oh no! Oh no!
And
come on, Adam.
It gave me an unsafe entry, and I'm like, what? I looked at it, and there's nothing I did unsafe. I couldn't understand it. Then Schmidtke put up his replay. And apparently, because my connection as far as iRacing dropped out on the exit of Sunset to when I entered the pits, so because I wasn't there, it's going, you must have been entered unsafely. He gave me a penalty for no reason.
Don't you hate that? That's really bad. That's unlucky for you. Where should you have been, though?
6th place.
If you didn't get that. Yeah, 6th. Okay.
I think I'm 17th instead, so.
Wowee. Okay, interesting reading. We'll get to the M-split results for you in just a moment, folks. Merch.tgsrci.com, gsrc.myshopify.com is where you go for all your GSRC merch and paraphernalia, and all your merchandise, your hats, your stubby coolers, your bottle openers, your hoodies, your singlets, your shirts, all your GSRC merch range is via that link. Go and support the club that supports you, and show your support for the club and spread the word of what they're all about. David Uni with the qualifying pole award there, of course, in the AM split, ahead of Cameron Dakin, Rick Cowling, Fitzgerald, Kurt Nominson, Lee Peckham, then Nathan Harvey, Barry Punter, Jordan Dakin, Will Ramsden and Tristan Koch, the top 10. On the back end of qualifying, the margin there, 0.053 of a second. Like, that's how razor tight it was. Kelly McLaren getting the win in a Porsche. There's some irony for you. From 11th on the grid as well. So again, that and 13th for Luke Wegener, 18th for Troy Mortensen, 17th on the grid for Joel Hansen. So again, a lot of forward movement from the guys that started outside the top 10. 1.4 seconds to winning margin. Dakin in for second, Lee Peckham third, Jordan Dakin fourth, both Dakins in the top 5. Nathan Harvey rounded out the top 5. Rick Cowling, Fitzgerald, David Uni, Luke Wegener, Troy Mortensen and Joel Hansen the top 10. Brilliant. Updated championship standings for you. Oh, look at this. Look at this. With the drop round up his sleeve as well, we know he's going to have a 0 to show for last week when round 7 rolls around, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Dyson leads this points race at the moment by 1 over Hayden Smith. Look at the breathing space they've got, though. 60 points back to Reece Keane and Alex Barrelon. Ryan Jones on 169 despite not being on the grid. Marcus Watson 165 despite not being on the grid, and 162 for Jeff Adams. 130 for Corey Lazarus, 122 for Willie Blair, and 119 for Craig Ball make up the top 10. So 118 points between first and 10th, but that top 7 really, 8 even, less than 100, which is the threshold going into the final round. Just over 100 in Corey Lazarus' case, 107. But Jeff Adams, like that's 75 points, covers the top 7. That's a tight and well contested and congested leaderboard and points race at the moment, no doubt about that. Open split now. Jason Wilkinson, the new points leader there, 214 place. John Akers, 212. 202, I should say. 178 for Matt Schmidtke, 160 for Todd Suter, Greg Heaney, 153. Then Richard King, Eduardo Zamora, Sean Benici, Bryden Friend, and Robbie Camo, the top 10. 89 points covers first. No, let me do that again. 91 points covers first and 10th at this point in time. Tim Nicol tied with Bryden Friend and Bobby Camo for 10th place or 9th place there at the moment. So a three-way tie. And all those guys within 91 points of one another at this point. A tight race there as well, it would seem, and fine margins between being in the top 10 and not. Nathan Harvey leads the AM split at the moment by 7 on Kelly McLaren and Jordan Dakin. Another 30 back to Cameron Dakin, 14 then back to Lee Peckham. Then Rick Cowling, Fitzgerald, Joel and Hansen, Edward Rollo, Luke Wegener and Alan McDonald, the top 10. 103 points covers first and 10th there at the moment. We can tell you that there's only 10 points covering 8th and 10th. 7 points covers the top 3 and 37 covers the top 4 and 51 covers the top 5. That's a really tight points race there as well. Could go either way when we reconvene to bring you more Porsche Amateur Cup racing on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Speaking of when we reconvene to bring you more, let's have a look at what comes your way, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much to look forward to here. There's no doubt about that. It all gets underway tonight for you. Now, there'll be 2 parts to this. My boys will be with you from 8:25 Eastern Daylight Time for an 8:30 race start. Circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia. The historic configuration thereof, the venue for round 5 of the Disruptive Labs GTE Series. And that will be a 60-minute race for those guys. 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. It'll be followed, of course, by the usual post-race fanfare and also a spin of the wheel to determine what car of choice for the Mountain Men tomorrow night. 32 laps, Mount Panorama, the venue there, 200 kilometres the journey. 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. There's a slight overlap with that and something that's going on in the real world, but that matters very little to the Mountain Men crew. Monday night, we're back with you for the start of the second half of Term 1. Yes, already, I know, amazing, isn't it? At 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, Adam Lavis and I with you for the Waste Options Super Formula Lights double header, starting with the open wheel component, the tin tops to follow, of course. But it's a bigger night for us on Monday night. It's 30 minutes around the Miami International Autodrome, first up for the Super Formula Light. That's standard procedure, but then we extend the clock. We go to 90 minutes for GT3. We bring you the Pro-Am split from Mount Panorama Bathurst. Their first of two Enduros for the campaign, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time, waste options Monday Night Motorsport. Tuesday night, non-broadcast, what have we got here? The Downforce Legends first up from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. That's, of course, the home of the Mexican Grand Prix, Mexico City. 40 minutes the journey there, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Then on to Alton Park for 40 minutes of GSRC Retro Formula One Championship action. And that is from 9:15 Eastern Daylight Time. Sprint racing, the feature of next Wednesday night for you on the MIA, the Missing in Action loop of the Miami International Autodrome. That'll be for the Oz Legends Cup. They're two sprint races from 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. From 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, the Miami International Autodrome, the Grand Prix configuration for the Trophy AI Supercars Series and their 6th round of 10. Next Thursday night, well, who knows really, whenever Adam and I can get together to bring it to you, ladies and gentlemen. Probably Friday, who knows. Algarve International Circuit Portimao GT4 with thanks to Disruptive Labs, and that is 40 minutes the journey there from 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Then onto the Porsche Cup from the Hockenheim Ring. Sprint racing back on the agenda next Thursday night, but this time in the main course, and the Porsches from 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's, of course, race server setting start times. Our broadcast is to be confirmed at this point. We'll hopefully have that nutted down in a bit more certainty and detail by the time we reconvene on Monday night. Massive weekend coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Days 14, 15 and 16. Good on you, Betty. A pleasure to have you tuning in, mate. And look forward to, obviously, see the rest of your sim traject on the service instead of spending quality time like we're supposed to. Yeah, exactly right, 100%. And Jeff Adams confirming that it was definitely a Pogo Cup at Sebring. That was not to be unexpected. Good luck to all of our guys, actually. I think it goes without saying, Adam. As I get your final thoughts on all of that, we should say that it's the start of a busy weekend for our guys. We go to Mount Panorama on Monday night, obviously, for GT3, but the club will be well represented in official service throughout the course of the weekend for the majors for the iRacing Bathurst 12 Hour.
Indeed, there'll be plenty of people out there giving it a crack around the mountain, and so one of those big events of the year that everyone, especially in this part of the world, tends to flock to. So it should be a big weekend, and then it's going to be one of those ones where everyone's had all their practice and race and all that stuff. So it'll be very competitive on Monday night when we get to our GT3 race at Bathurst as well. So be interesting to see what happens over the weekend and whether that shakes up the results on Monday.
I think we'll be all Bathurst out by the time we finish on Monday night, but that's okay because we've then got until October to recuperate. Big thanks to you as always, mate. Appreciate your time and your effort as always and your insights. Well done on your results as well in particularly GT4. Obviously the Porsches let slip, but technical, hey? It's a beautiful thing when it works and a mongrel when it doesn't. And iRacing, of course, no sympathy there for your technical glitch. Big weekend coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck to those of you contesting the officials over the weekend. We look forward to your company on Monday night. If you're not tied up with iRacing this weekend, plenty of great sport to sink your teeth into. As I said, days 14, 15 and 16 of the Winter Olympic Games from Milano Cortina. The ICC T20 World Cup continues as well. Of course, Australia against Oman, the highlight there later on tonight, as Oman look to topple Australia just to add insult to injury, that is their early departure. Super Rugby continues across the course of the weekend. Obviously, there's some motor racing in Western Sydney as well. There is also the opening round of the World Superbike Championship and the Australian Superbike Championship from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. The Australian Superbike Championship you can see on Sunday afternoon on SBS from 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time on Stead Sport at the same time. The World Super's over Saturday and Sunday on Fox Sports. WNBL Finals, Six Nations Rugby, English Premier League, you name it, there's a lot happening. And of course, NASCAR from Atlanta first thing Monday morning as well. So a lot of great sport to look forward to, as there always seems to be, particularly at this time of the year, and the footy only a couple of weeks away as well. Hope you enjoyed our Thursday night on Friday afternoon motorsport replay for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube. Well done to Stephen Lawrence, sweeping the night in GT4 from the Portland International Raceway. Well done to, of course, Andrew Dyson, who continues to be the dominant force at the GSRC Porsche Cup in Term 1 of 2026. On behalf of Adam Lavis and all the broadcast commentary and production team here, that is 2 parts of your Friday Motorsport offering down. 1 still to come. Joe Baldwin, Liam Banks taking over. A driver change for us for the GTE Championship with thanks to Disruptive Labs from the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia in about 5 hours and 10 minutes time. Until then, from all of us here, have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday for the Open World Tin Top Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport doubleheader, including the first of the GT3 Enduros for Term 1 of 2026. Until then, I'm Zach Caban on behalf of Adam Lavis and all the crew here. Bye for now.